Hey, I'm on with one of my favorites, Josh Stone. Hello, my darling. Happy new 2020 for you.
Happy
Oh,
2020 to you.
oh, please, please, please let there be a glimmer of light in 2020 vision, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you and me do similar things. So we know how dire it is, don't we? We know how dire it really is in there and the actors and yeah. Can't believe I ever believed it, but I did. I used to want to vote. I used to know what I wanted to vote for. And now I look at it all and I'm just like, I want to be sick. Sorry.
yeah.
Mm.
And the more you look into it, it's a bottomless pit.
I think you've got
it
to do it yourself, haven't you, though? I've just been talking to one of my lovely ladies, flat earth ladies, and she still wants to believe in Trump. But I'm like, no, you're so awake. No, no, please. It's all a lie, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of like truthers and then also people who are intelligent, quote unquote, educated or whatever, but some pretty intelligent people find themselves talking about Trump and politics in general, and what they don't realize is that that's been designed for intelligent people. Politics is a very complicated thing, and very intelligent people are going to want to.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really
They're
good point, Josh.
they're going to be interested in it because it's complicated and it occupies their mind. Keyword in that, occupies. It occupies their minds to pay attention to this smoke and mirror show going on over here. It's a magic trick. Look over here while we do the real stuff over here. And that's that. And then some truthers are like that too. They still think that these politicians are actually doing anything for us. It's a
Can
complete,
I
in my
just
opinion.
add to that, Josh? I made the video. Well, what it was is that I already, like once you start looking into this, you can't help but see it and see it for what it is. And I know that you and me are on the same page on this one, with other people as well. But that Trump one, I picked one, and it was 32 years ago, and I thought I just wanted to see what he was saying 32 years ago. He sounds just like the man who's in the White House right now. In fact, they were getting him ready. In fact, they haven't given him a neck. So he's fake anyway. So they were just prepping it all and overlaying his head on someone else for the show 32 years ago. And he's talking about, oh well, like we're sort of what do you call it? We're policing the seas in the Middle East. They need to pay. And I'm thinking, what do they need to pay for? There's no wars really. So what do they need to pay for? What do we need the mafia do with? They're the mafia. They're the like it's just ridiculous. And it's all hype, all about the Middle East. And I was thinking, well, he hasn't changed his mind, then he still hates the Middle East today. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's pushed that rhetoric for 32 years. He hasn't said anything different. He
Yeah,
may as well have been that man from that video 32 years ago.
yeah, they're excuse me, they're handed a script, from day one. Why are they even being interviewed? Like on any 32 years ago, why was Trump being interviewed? Right? Like, who cares about this guy, even though he's just some rich guy or whatever? So yeah, they're putting him in the spotlight early on. It's
They were
pre-written.
getting him ready. They were getting him ready. That was the beginning. He
Yeah,
had to wait a few years, but that was the beginning. After that, he was going to be president. I see it now.
yeah, selected. It's pre-written. It's like they tell us this stuff like Nostradamus, right? I guess that's how you say his name. That is straight up telling us that that guy wasn't predicting the future. They were writing the future. They pre-wrote everything hundreds of years ago, and this Nostradamus was probably just in the club. And so let's start. That was the earliest, kind of one of the earliest forms of predictive programming was Nostradamus.
Yeah, I would say that I hadn't quite realised it was this bad, though. It's only when you do your own research that you realise it is this bad. That it's just a big business running everything, and what
Yeah,
is Trump, by the way? Because you know
yeah,
what, I thought I made my video about very quickly, and then I know you can talk. Like everybody wanted him as the people's person, and even though they knew he'd done business, they're like, no, no, he's going to save the world. But all they've actually managed to do this time is stick a big business person in the business. So they've got what they wanted. It's not got just you or me or anyone. If they've got a businessman running, sitting in the helm, and it's all about business and corporations. And he even said in this interview, America's not a corporation. I was thinking, it is. It's like, oh, do you see what they could say? And then, oh, it's just a joke, a very sad joke.
It's a corporation run by pedophiles.
Oh, please, I know. It's just.
But like what you were saying a second ago, for people to do their own research, just even 5 years ago, there wasn't as much content on what's really going on out there that there is now. So for this truth movement or whatever, it has come to the point where now it's the obvious movement. People who aren't even kind of woke to it know it's there now. So there's kind of no excuse not to look into it, because now there's content. There's people like you and I and hundreds of other people putting out content where there wasn't that content 5-10 years ago. It's there now.
Still not going anywhere though, Josh, because there's nowhere to go. There's no one going to save us. There's no one coming to help us.
Yeah, but
this is why they can get rid of everything. Can keep doing things.
Yeah, and the ego is what stops people from looking into it. Your own ego. You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to find out that you've been tricked. I get it, but once you drop that a little bit and look into it, and the light comes on, it's a liberating feeling. You've freed yourself from that, and you can move forward and try to talk to other people about it. And if people want to see it, they will. If they don't, they won't. And it's like, I'm cool with either. Definitely.
But I didn't realize it was quite like this. I mean, I think it was about 6 months ago when I saw the national anthem, with all those hidden words: obey, we do not take rebellion, and all that, and God, government is God. Now, obviously, that when you see that changes your mind a bit. It was just doing my research on the other channel for the Watts case, and then a bit of Trump, and it was like, I realised that it's all deep fake. The whole thing. It's not even that. It's Elvis. It's Prince. It's any actor. They're all deep faked on these things.
Yeah, throw a stone, you'll hit one. I mean, every one of them is suspect as far as I'm concerned. If you gotten to that level, I'm not talking about like indie artists or in the music world and all that. I mean, lower.
They can't even film one thing, I think, without amending it in some way. To just say they were recording a real advert, say you're selling something and they've come to record you. Not any of it will be real. By the time you've finished, you'll be on a green screen. They'll have rubbed this out, done this, and that might be some of what we're watching in the rest of the crap. Do you see what I mean? You've got 2 or 3 things going on here. You've got them tweaking everything to make everybody look perfect, which we're not. And then you've got all the deep fake and all the lies and everything. But I never knew it was this bad, Josh. Not because this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're in some kind of boot camp communism. Sorry, we are, to have this much level of, and it's always they're the problem. It's them over there. It's always someone else. It's always an enemy over there, but there isn't. And we did this on another hangout. I put it on one of my videos. There's only 60 odd miles between Russia and Alaska. If Russia and Alaska really wanted to kill each other, they'd have already done it.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's the boot camp. It's like it's a one big psychological operation controlling our perception of our reality. Like, perception is literally the only war being fought in Earth. And I say in Earth, not on Earth. That is what is control our perception of reality and even the past, and you control our memories, and you control. We're very predictable.
Yeah, because now they've managed to turn families against families, husbands against wives, men against women, friends against each other. They've managed to do all that because they know that the 25,000 bogus things that they've done, it's going to pick up people, and hardly anybody's going to notice the problems, but we did. And there must be something in us if we can see it and other people can't. But now I just, one of the reasons I can't watch the television, because all I see is that. All I see, look, yeah, look, you can just see it like with your naked eye.
Right, and that's exactly how they managed to do it, is through the television. It not only does it program people, that's kind of old news. It's also their ways of creating a disclaimer. So they're telling us that they're doing it to us. And that's how they kind of manage legally to get away with it. We give them consent by watching it. It's a disclaimer.
I think that's the problem is, but even if you don't give your consent, because I didn't vote, and that was really weird with the little ditty, Boris, and you still there, Josh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I just lost my screen. Do you know what I mean? I did that thing. I touched my phone by accident and I've lost the screen. So I'm blind right now. I've only got a screen in front of me. Anybody that does one of these back hangouts knows that you just can't find the hangout again. Yeah, I just had not realised it was this bad. It's overwhelming what they're doing. And, like the fake space, everything's fake and they're leading you. How these people sleep at night, I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've sold their soul, and I'm not even talking about religion. They've sold their mind, to it, and that gets into the electrical part of us. And once somebody has control of the electrical part of you, they sleep fine. They sleep fine. They make a lot of money doing what they're doing. They're laughing all the way to the bank, And same thing with the free energy and what's going on with all that in the world.
Can I ask you something? Do you think that someone like Jim Carrey did see it? He does understand it, or do you think that he is just definitely one of them as well? Because when you listen to him, you listen to what he says or anything he says, it's like he's gone right through it. He goes right. I don't know. What do you think? Just asking out of all actors, he just seems someone who does understand it.
He's very good at pulling off being genuine, but he's one of them. It's all scripted. He's very talented and he's very good at what he does, and he's very good at pulling the strings of truthers. Well, I mean, that's what comedians are for. They are the psychologists in this psychological operation. They're the ones that if you go see a comedian, most of them are kind of giving life advice throughout their comedy, and it's kind of psychological. And that I believe that that's the role that they're trained, that this is what you're going to do for the people. This is your job in this psychological operation, this one little pocket. Are comedians. They're psychologists. They're there to make people laugh, keep people comfortable while they're getting screwed over. There's so many weird, different levels to it.
To want to, like all this stuff with impeachment at the moment. You've got Hillary with like a piece of brown sticky tape on her nose. You've got, I can show, it showed that Hillary's in there somewhere, and day in day, because we get news. Our politicians come on. You can watch it on. Go to Westminster on a Wednesday and watch them go here and all that stuff. But you don't get the press releases like you. Every 10 minutes there's a press release, and Nancy or Hillary or Trump, they're coming out. You're bombarded, and nobody. If you're not awake enough, nobody likes a president threatened. It makes the country feel insecure. So this is another point of what they're doing, and they're just taking more and more money out of the public purse to pretend to have an impeachment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all by design. They all work together, and that's just to actually create sympathy for him. When somebody's all of a sudden, I think
what people, do you know one way that people couldn't actually see it, because these people are lying. Say, for instance, I don't mean to equate this, but I can only say, for instance, you come across someone, say, whose family member has died. You can see they've got true grief and upset in them. But these people don't have that conscience because it wasn't real. So they don't have those feelings. Do you see what I mean? That's what I'm noticing.
I mean, you can always tell if they're acting or if they're if it's real. I always used to tell my kids pertaining to something like that, if you want something, ask for it, don't act for it. That's just a side note. But yeah, I mean, you can tell when somebody's acting for what they want, or and when I say what they want you to believe. It's about controlling your perception of what's happening.
I think that's it. Because that's one thing I did when I you know, and you only know it when you do it yourself. I was going through a lot of that NASA footage is one of the first things I did as a flat earther, as well as the water and everything else. But that just was one of the big things. And I came across this bit of footage, and they were supposed to be live, two of them, Bowen and someone else. It's about 2013, like about 2014. And they go outside, and one of the astronauts is paused. It's supposed to be a live feed, and one of them's paused. I just feel so sad because it makes you believe in a reality that doesn't even exist, and that takes your freedom away. So every day, it's a bit like freedom cross. Free. They don't want you to have any freedom. There's no freedom.
Yeah, freedom is an illusion. It's a state of mind.
They put crosses on the whole lot. They don't. There's no freedom because they're making you believe in fake impeachment, fake actors, fake space, fake. You know, imagine like no one. I don't understand why any politician hasn't said, do you know what? In the early 1900s, we were there. We were electric cars, electric vans. We were green. We were eco. Oh, and then they bring cars in. So they let the cars come in, and then they tax the people for it. It's all just a joke.
Yeah, it's been around, I think, since day one. I think electricity has been here in some form. That I'm actually working on a documentary. I've been making videos about the use of free energy throughout history, and I've been making shorter videos on that over the last 6 months, and I'm working on putting them all together in one documentary.
Yeah, one of your favorite words is that they're vampires.
Yeah, that won't be involved in this one. That's kind of like another. That's kind of another train of thought I go down when I'm kind of like I go through different times where sometimes I'm really into what's going on in this part of our forced reality on us, and so I dive in, and I can't come out until I'm done, and
totally changes your perspective even more, though, doesn't it, when you see it for yourself, and you almost have to do. Or we're a society that's used to going, oh look, there it is on a screen, there it is in a book, there it is on this. Oh yeah, oh look, we've been to the. We're not doing any of this research ourselves. We're not looking in the sky. We're not in touch with our own feelings. It just goes on and on and on, and that's part of the system to keep us like that. And it's boot camp.
Yeah,
and you know what's really crazy is they stand there going, "Oh, Russia, and look what they've done, and their communism and all that crap." When actually they've forgotten to say, "Guess what? You're in communism as well," but we just forgot to tell you. We'll call it democracy.
Right, like this is kind of old news to us, but I mean, if new people are listening, I mean, what they put in the news is fake, and what they put into like what we would call kind of mythological stuff or fantasy, that's usually the real stuff that's happened.
Oh, what you mean, the wives' tales and that, all the things that they laugh at, like crystals, hippies like that, but they're really good for you. Everything that they've laughed at is the good stuff. Right. Anything they've equated it and made fun of it or made it look ridiculous is the real deal. Right. And that's, once again, I know I say it over and over, but that's kind of the thing, is that it's controlling our perception. And so, yeah, think that would be fantasy, because they can't hide it per se. They can't hide everything. So they have to control people's perception of what is already there that we're going to come across. So any state park you go to or anywhere you go, there's always a plaque. There's always a big board with words on it. Words are spelling on you how to perceive this site, this monument, this rock formation, or endless. And so, yeah, what is fantasy is usually what's so global warming. There you go. There's a big one. And that's come up again recently with that little boy that they put on, and I said boy on purpose. That was definitely a transgender, which is sad that they are putting those kids, because the Greta thing, nothing against her, him, or whatever. It's not everybody to themselves what they want to be, but it's the way that they're doing it. That's the bit that's frightening. And like a lot of people, like if you kind of speak up against what that is, they're quick to say, "Oh, you're slamming kids." No, I'm not. It's about pointing out what's going on, and actually the fact that
that poor child is being put on the stage on purpose. So she's kind of a slave to whatever these pedophiles are doing or whatever, and they're forcing her to do that. So that's sad in and of itself. But
I don't think people realize, like we've had this, you've got like Warner Brothers, you've got all these studios. They're making, like they used to make Dallas and Dynasty and whatever we want to call it, Coronation Street, EastEnders. But the thing is, what they're doing is just another level of it. The same thing, drama for us. They're making us in a living drama because we're watching, we're believing it. It's not.
Yeah, we're a character. We are what people don't realize is we are a character in their play, in their movie, in their TV broadcast. We are playing a role. We are a character in it, and that's what people we're taught to perceive it as. Oh no, we're the audience. No, we are the show. They're the audience. They're watching us. They're watching how we react, and they're toying with.
Yeah, that's what that case was about. It was put, against the people. The Watts case that was used. They did that to get that was a test for something, new technology, the way they were going to get to the people, how they were going to string it to us.
Yeah,
all about making money.
Sometimes it's like a heat check. They can see how kind of ridiculous they can make it to see if they can kind of pull it off.
I don't think they care, do they? Because Nancy's got a great big square, like that brown sticky tape I'm talking about. It's about 2 or 3 times the width of sellotape, and you use it to wrap parcels with usually. And that was a piece of that stuck on her nose, and nobody's noticed. And I do remember Crow saying, he said, what happened to us? What we've got now didn't happen today or yesterday. It happened maybe 70, 80 years ago. But what were those people doing asleep? But here we are, millions of us awake, and there's still nothing we can do. And what it is that, legally, they're winning at the moment because they're passing the laws. So it's all going their way. They're making the history, etc., etc.
Yeah, and like you said, they don't care. They don't care how, because they know that not only do they have us psychologically trained, but they also have us physically. That they fluorinate people, they vaccinate. So there's all kinds of stuff in our system, and that gets passed through our DNA to the next and next and next. And so they know they have us on multiple levels of control of. So it really is kind of breaking free of all that to even be able to see it, and then you have to accept it. That's like you said, it's hard to believe that it keeps going and going and
it's
going.
Almost ridiculous repeating it, isn't it? You know what I mean? It sounds almost unbelievable what we're saying, but we're telling the truth.
Yeah, it really does. You hear yourself say it out loud, and it's like, that is insane to even think, but it's actually happening. The truth is that is actually happening, and if you look into it with some form of critical thinking, I don't know why it would disturb people so much to I keep being shocked by it, but like wouldn't they, if they could, pull that kind of stuff off and keep the groups small so they don't have to involve hundreds of thousands of people. They have a couple thousand people in their group basically that
the only glimmer of light I see in it is, if this is as good as they can get with the footage, then we obviously haven't got what they say we've got. I don't know what they're doing with the fires coming from the inside of the trees. It must be technology they are using and experimenting on around us, because we are one big experiment to them. But if that's the best they can do on the television, and it's so obvious that all you've got to do is just really look at the footage, and you'll start seeing that they're superimposed and none of them are real, and that's what we need to do. But I can't believe I didn't see it before. But once you see it, there's no way I can go back now. I don't even have to slow the footage down. I can see everything at normal speed, and I'm slowing it down and talking about it to make my videos to show people, but I can see it without slowing it down.
Right. Yeah, there is like the process of knowing the stuff and then wanting to tell people, and then constructing videos that actually tell it. It's very hard, and Like,
And I actually feel as well, Josh. Like, okay, we just changed the place. We're in total recall. It's not Mars, it's Earth, and it might not be the air they take. It might be our amenities that they decide in the end. That's how they could do to us. They could do our because we live in a nanny state now, where we're relying on via them to do everything. Like we used to grow our own vegetables and things like that. We don't even do that now. But they've herded us into towns, and no one's growing, and like they can do anything they want. They can put that stop the electricity. Let's stop. They've got if they want to. So we're living in total recall. Really, it's not Mars.
yeah, 100%.
I just can't like that film. Like it just sticks out. I mean, I know there's the Truman Family. There's all these films. I've talked about it lately and a couple of hangouts. There's all those other films.
Disclaimer. Yeah, those are the disclaimers.
Space
Like,
Odyssey is
we
another
told
one.
you.
Dave, I'm turning. That's a machine taking over. It's a bit like that because the AI is going mad. It must be because it's leaving these big patches on her nose. But no one, not one politician says, "Do you know something? I've seen that NASA footage. I've seen it quite repeatedly. Now there's something wrong. We need to investigate."
Yeah, no, they all defend. They will all defend each other. They're all.
Yes.
It's like lawyers in a courtroom. It is a joke that they are working against each other. They are working together. They are.
Yeah, it's like
one.
me. I always felt that, even with Saddam Hussein. Oh, down with America, down. Am I doing the right thing? Is that what you want me to say? Down with America. That's what the public faces, and behind, they're always talking to each other. It's just ridiculous. It's all a stage, all a show.
Yeah, and and both sides work as one team. They red and blue is just to keep the country or different countries keep us separated. If we're all one to on the same page.
That's one thing, because if the people realised how powerful they were and came together properly, then they wouldn't be them.
Yeah, it's a wag the dog situation.
But
right?
do you know what's getting me though, Josh? Is I said this before. I don't know. Other people wouldn't think it's that important, but Elon Musk made that video a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago, and what it was is when I slowed it down, it was all the same problems. None of it was real. So they make a fake video about a fail. Well, it's all going a bit topsy turvy, like with Nancy Pelosi with a great big lump of like stuff on her nose, and no one says anything, no one notices it. So they're not checking. They're obviously so flippant because they think, "I'll stick that out. They're never going to see it or notice it." But
Yeah,
I mean, something's almost going wrong. Is the AI helping us? Is it? I don't know what's happening. Something's happening because it's they don't seem to be checking their footage or nothing.
it keeps the waters muddy. So anybody who is to look into it, you don't know what to think, really. I mean, there's some stuff I research that I want to put it into my work, and I'll find so many different things. I kind of don't know what direction to go with it, but yeah, so that's what they do with footage and stuff like that. It's to muddy the water. So if somebody who wants to talk about the truth and say, well, look this up, they're going to find 5 other things that contradict each other, and they get nowhere. Nothing is actually gained from it. So you just look, insane for even suggesting it.
I know that whoever set this system up was damn clever, wasn't they? Because when you get there, there's about 10 more doors, and every time, I've said lately, you think you know more, and you do, but then you get there and actually you know less, knowing more.
Yeah, it is like it's like the only way to get through it is like just forgetting about your ego, just being willing to be wrong. It's the only way to find the truth
But it's pretty damn disgusting to do this to the people. It really is. There's no other word. It's treason what they're doing.
Yeah, it's I definitely would call it a crime against us, and I think everything changes eventually, and I think time will look back on this time period.
Do you think it's all coming then with this alignment with astrology, when all the planets line up, and we've got 2020, and we've reversed that to it's a new decade, today.
Yeah, I mean, according to the Gregorian calendar, but sometimes I also agree with you. I've definitely felt like a kind of a positive shift. And just some other my friends in the truth community, everybody's kind of feeling that shift but in the same breath, I think the true New Year's is April 1st, April Fool's Day. They're fooling us, and I think that's the real New Year. I mean, it's spring, right? That's when life is coming. I would call that the beginning of the new year. So I usually kind of just privately to myself celebrate the new year on April 1st and not be fooled. But yeah, about the positive shift, still 2020. I think it's time for, adults. I mean, we're talking about growing adults like you and I.
What happened then for us to see it? Like, I haven't had, I'm not sure whether, for me, my education wasn't very good. They piloted something. It was a new phonics, and they didn't tell the main schools that a lot of these children were piloted on it. It was another way to make it look like everybody was stupid, but they weren't. It was just they piloted something and then they changed it again. But that meant that I missed a lot of my juniorhood. I'm not like programmed the same way through the education system. I had to learn to read and write myself. Is that what it is? Some of us, we've had big things happen to us when we were younger, and whatever they didn't work on us or something. I don't know what it is that.
Something broke the chain at some point. Same with you. I've always, since childhood, I've always been musical and this and that, and always kind of the one raising my hand.
People, like you like making your music. You like being an individual. You like doing your way. You like showing your video. You're an individual. Do you think that's what it is? Because you're an individual and you are, and you don't mind being an individual and different to everyone else. This is why this system doesn't work. Because everybody else wants to, ego, I've got to wear the same dress, the same dots. I mean, even adverts about it, don't they? Oh, you're wearing the wrong dress, the wrong polka dot. If you want to be a part of that, then you're going to be part of that. But we don't mind being different and individuals. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I for me, on a like a psychological level, I thrive if I'm being 100% me and just do what I do and be cool with either it being liked or disliked. None of that affects me still doing it because it fulfills something in me. So, maybe some of us are born programmed a little different, and that's how we've kind of, and life is kind of like molded you to the point where now it's like, oh, I see why I was always kind of questioning this or that or this or that. And it all comes together. And you find like-minded people in this, the online world, which is definitely, connected to a lot more people who are like-minded. And that's what obviously started this whole kind of.
Does it work for you, Josh, that suddenly this bit of revelation, you find it about 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody's awake and you think, oh my God, look at this. Oh, it's like, I'm on my own. Oh, it's like, oh, there's
many a night.
Some ridiculous time, like in the night, I can't call anybody.
many a nights I find myself 1 second looking at the clock and it's like 11 p.m. and the next time I look it's 4 a.m. and I'd been in this zone, just edit after edit after edit.
That was me today, just hours of it, and you think I've sat here now for about 11 hours.
Yeah, I like it though. It's satisfying to feel like you've not only one kind of gotten it out of, it's for me, like always writing songs, I always had them in the back of my head, until I get it written, it just nagged. It's the same with video work and stuff like that. And and then, it's like, you feel good because you're talking about truth and you're going to share it with people and let other people who want to talk about truth, but haven't been brought up in life. I brought up in life, always being on stage, always being in theater class and music and being on stage singing. And so I'm used to putting myself out there. So to do this through video it's my comfort zone. It doesn't, I'm fine with that. So it's the hurdle I've had to overcome, and I feel like I'm starting to finally get there, is just making the actual videos. I've never made videos before until a year and a half ago when I kind of just started shooting stuff with my camera. And as time goes on, try to get a little more fun, crafty with it to tell the narrative better. That's always kind of my objective, is how can I make this narrative even more concise.
Yeah, you've got someone good to talk to it about, haven't you? You've got Enslaved by No Media, haven't you? He's a friend of yours, so you can talk to him about, because he's brilliant with photography as well, isn't he?
Yeah. we stay in general contact, but I mean, yeah, he's a friend. And early on, when I first started my channel, he came across one of my early jet fuel hoax videos, and he was happy to find somebody else out there willing to even talk about it, because putting stuff like that out there, and a lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes, is you get attacked by a lot of agents. They don't want this truth out there, so they come at you hard, and that's all behind the scenes and stuff like that. So
I have zero tolerance
helped,
for that. I just I'm not arguing with anybody, Josh. I just block them.
I think early on I might have engaged in it, and then once I started to kind of like
because
become
you're a
more
lovely
aware,
person and you're empathic and you just want people to understand the truth. You're a lovely person, but they're not, are they?
I bought into them early on, and then once I started to kind of learn that, oh, these guys aren't even like just like somebody sitting around watching videos and making a comment, and no, these guys are paid to be in here. They're because they're different, multiple people like would come at me, different comments. A lot of the comment, like it's almost like it was scripted, like they were told to say this, and it would just change a couple words and something. Yeah, they're out there. That's what they're paid to do. They're protecting the truth against people like us who are trying to tell it.
Everybody's paid off. That's all to do with money. All actors. I mean, that bit seeing, I can't prove it, but it almost looks like Elvis Presley's not real now. He was just a character for us. He was shoved on the television because he was sexy and good looking and for his time, and but was he even singing the songs? I know we saw him at the concerts, but if you actually watched him, he'll say, I couldn't keep the note. You watch the concerts or him singing, he'll go, oh, I've had to start again because I couldn't keep the note. So he wasn't this brilliant singer like everybody thought. I'm sorry, he wasn't.
Well, honestly, as far as I go, and right at this point, looking into so many things and realizing how much of it has been lied about. If I have not seen it with my own eyeballs,
what I'm saying is,
I don't know if
his whole life was just watching EastEnders, basically. It's all an act. All these people, not just him. It's all of them. They're all just. They got your script, right? You go out there and you tell them this. You think you're meeting them, but you're not. You're just meeting a script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I was saying, like I agree. Unless I've seen it with my own eyeballs, I question it at this point. So, like, all this even being a real, like, was there a guy going around and kind of doing some stuff like the king of rock and roll? Has that all just been fabricated for this future generation? And sure, I would.
But you know what?
Yeah.
It bugs me even about like Michael Jackson. Like, once you actually looked up Michael Jackson, he was supposed to have had lupus, which means he couldn't go in the sun with his skin. So we had to have umbrellas and gloves because his skin lupus means that it just can be cancerous. Like it's just really bad. Supposedly, it's not. The sun is good for you, but that's what they've told. But instead of Michael Jackson explaining that, they made him into Loopy Jacko. When really, if he had this lupus, then he would have. That's why he had the umbrellas and the gloves. It's like, how could they market him so wrong?
Well, wait, it was probably because he was a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's, yeah, I'm just going back to what you
What I'm just saying is, if this person had these illnesses, and like, for instance, not people might not have been aware that, that thing burnt his hair off, and, he's just, and then he had some plastic surgery and all that kind of stuff. But was that done so that they could put different Michael Jacksons in there?
Sure, I would agree with that. Why not?
No, you just don't know, do you? But like, how could they? I know, in a sense, like, if you're vain and you're a star, say we're looking at it as a reality, you wouldn't want people knowing you've got lupus. You wouldn't want people knowing you've got these things, maybe.
Right.
But they marketed him so wrong, because if he had these illnesses, I mean, they've made him wacko jacko, when actually, like, we are told not to go in the sun, but now we know the sun isn't what they've said. So, you know what I mean? But it's just all crazy. The whole thing is just,
they don't want to, they're gonna start to deteriorate like a really big star at some point, because they have to bring it down at some point. They usually fake most of their deaths wherever they're they assume new roles and play new roles, and or they're just who knows how big Earth is? Maybe there's some, other land that we don't know about, with a whole other civilization going on. Who knows, right? So maybe they're sent there. It's a utopia type place or something. But just speculating. But that's, I guess, what we got to do is
what it is. It's a bit like whoever's organising the music side. They'll go, right, in 2020, this band's coming along. They'll make their first song in March. Here's the script. And it's like that from the beginning, rather than it's actually people who've managed just to amazingly get to the top. It's all a script they're put in there on purpose. Nothing's happening by naturally happening, that people are, oh, look, suddenly this song went to #1, and none of it's like that. It's all controlled, all of it.
100%.
It's just disgusting. I'm sorry.
That's and I find myself sometimes, just for maybe pockets of time, like for like a few hours here and there, every now and again, once in a blue moon, kind of frustrated with the adults of our society that, I'm 46, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing other people my age or older, and not seeing the stuff. And like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, as far as like education, school, you should be more intelligent than me. You should be seeing this before I do. So sometimes I get kind of like, come on, adults, like, wake up. If we all woke up and saw what they're doing, game over.
I know, but they go on every day. But people are waking up and they're still carrying on. I'm just hoping it's going to grind to a halt. As we're New Year's Day still here, what would you like to happen in 2020 with this new century, 2020? I'm just hoping that we've got there. I think most people who've woken up would think, come on, come on. It's quite frustrating, isn't it?
I'd like to see more of us can stay connected like this on a positive level. I think early on in the truth movement, there was a lot of like negative, and it's still going on, but I think I'd like to see more groups of us find each other, more YouTubers, more Facebook people, because I'm friends with some people on Facebook that only do Facebook stuff and only do Facebook Live. They're not really on YouTube as much. And so there's some really intelligent, positive people out there really just trying to
well, that's what
like
the Sun and Moon's about, though, isn't it? That's about giving the people their voice. But we need to share each other's stuff. That's what needs to happen. We keep sharing our information, each other's information.
Work together, and like
the only way is to share it, because obviously they're setting up algorithms and all sorts of things, but you just keep sharing and sharing and sharing it.
I do the same thing. I'll roll it out different, like I'll roll it out in some Facebook groups, this and that, and then I do it in waves, so it's not all at once, so that it like will tap into new algorithms or whatever. And it's not for any kind of like, it's not about ego or anything like that. It's getting the truth out and trying to kind of beat the system a little bit to get it out there, so people can come across it and hear it. And like,
I know, I used to put certain words in, but I don't anymore on both channels, because you say on the Unscrambled, if you put death and all that, that's it, a yellow button will be immediately there because it's inappropriate, because you're talking about, but you have to leave these certain words out to beat the algorithms. And the thing, but you know what really got me though, I mentioned this a couple of times now, but I put a video out on Unscrambled about the CEO of YouTube. Not once did she say, or they say, let's put it that way, because most people had an opinion about who they thought they were, but it was a bit like, they're going on about the people, but not once did they mention, well, what we're doing to the people, we're doing to the big business, to the White House. We're monitoring everything. We're looking at everything that's coming in. They weren't monitoring the White House, the politics, the media, only the people. Until people wake up and realize it's only the people that are being farmed.
Yeah, and like what you were saying a second ago, leaving words out. I do that. I made that decision early early on, because I watched enough videos before I even started thinking about making videos. For like a year and a half, I was watching stuff, and I noticed certain words that were used. Those channels were gone. I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna say them right here, right now. But there are some words that I've literally never said, or even really even implied anything about. There's some subjects
I think you can say things like it's not true. You can find other words, but just don't use the one beginning with H and the one beginning with F that much, because their algorithms pick up on it.
Yeah, those two are, and what they do is they find that legal loophole where they come at you with a community standard strike that it's.
I know, but really sad thing is that they're doing it to the people, and then when the people notice it and report it, let's get rid of them. Get rid of them.
It's hate speech when we talk about the truth, but when they do it, it's like, it's okay. Yeah.
I know, every day you've got them standing up going, we've gone to war, we're bombing, we're doing this. That's all right. Everybody who's promoting that gets nice little green buttons and lots of money. You say, hey, that's not fair, that's not right. Oh, that's it. You get put at the bottom, algorithm, the whole thing. It's just ridiculous what we're living in.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to say is we started off by maybe trying to not beat the system, fight the system, but but now you've got to sort of go through it and do the best you can, trying to get your information out through it.
Right. That's all. It's like learning it, and and not trying to beat it. It's not like that. I'm never thinking revolution in my mind or anything. I'm just thinking, how do I kind of like navigate this system, this online? How do I navigate it? How do I reach people so that, because there's people out there thinking stuff that we talk about, and they want to know that there's other people out there. That's a like internal thing. As humans programmed into us or whatever, like we want to know that there are other people that think the same way. And I've been like that forever, right? You always want to find friends who think the same way. And so that's a normal thing. So yeah, but leaving certain words out and like just staying away from, there's plenty of truth subjects out there to talk about without having to go into a couple of the few that really ultimately will just get your channel taken away. And then what good are you doing anybody? So.
Or you could be like me, where I don't even know why they took my channel. They gave me this list. It was like from here to here, and I couldn't have done all of them. But I wrote 25 emails to ask what it was I'd done, because I said I don't want to do it again. Then I had to do it that way. They never replied to me. I went for an appeal. They never even wrote back to me. And they've got that bit where they can say, we don't even have to tell you anything.
Yeah, they don't. They could take it like.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. I'm like, they could just take my channel away. They don't have to have a reason. They could just do it, So, yeah. I remember when that happened with you. That was over the summer, wasn't it?
It was about the end of May.
Yeah. It was like spring. Yeah, that sucked. Because
I know all that effort, all that work, not my work exactly, although I've made videos on there, but you think of all those people like you coming to talk, but we just keep going on, don't we? We keep going on, and that's what we're left doing.
Yeah, just keep going at it,
But even if we lost our channels, a lot of us would stay friends now. I've built up quite a good friendship, and the people that I talk on the Hangouts, I don't just talk on the Hangouts. I stay friends with my friends as well. You're not just a hangout. So
same with me. I most of my friends are I've made online, like you and some other really just amazing, very very intelligent people that like. I always try to make sure I'm not the smartest person in the room, because if you are, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, I remember you saying that before. If you're the smartest one, get out of there and find a room that's of smarter people.
Yeah, you need to surround yourself with people who you are going to be able to learn from, or you're not going to like that's where they will trap a lot of people. They'll get people to kind of like stop researching because they feel like they found all the truth, and it's those little traps that they use psychologically. So you're inside this echo chamber where everybody's kind of like,
Psychological warfare. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is a psychological game, and they even come like into like comments on videos that truthers make. That the agents are paid to come in and control people's perception of the creator of the video, not the content. And then so when people are reading those, they're going to view the person like you who made the video as crazy or whatever, however they want to control the perception in the comments. So when other people are reading it, they see you as crazy, then they see your content as crazy. They don't need to attack your content. They just attack your character. That's part of the psychological warfare that they do. That's just one out of like many that they're it's a multi-layered, very brilliant psychological operation that they are running on people. And right, 2020, it's time for us to have 2020 vision, right, and see it. And maybe this is the year.
Well, I think some of us have, haven't we? Because like I can't go back and pretend all the things I thought aren't real. I used to know what I wanted to vote, and I used to watch these programs, and now just thinking, oh my God, it's just all a game.
Yeah, what's one of the first things I did a couple years ago is unregister to vote. I'm like, ooh, I got to get out of that.
It's sad, really, because like we've grown up, especially us, little island. Your grandparents, they fought to give you the right, and you've grown up like that and feeling that was reality.
Right.
That people had to fight for the right to vote. And like when I saw that Boris standing in the middle of like just outside 10 Downing Street, they made him look like he was 20 feet from the curb, and he was the size of a Monopoly piece game. And you can see a reporter next to the camera, and Boris is about the size of a 3-year-old on the road. And then I looked at the statistics, and it was at least 24 hours later that there was still only a few thousand people had watched. BBC was 50,000, but if you imagine millions were supposed to vote for this landslide victory, that's a very poor turnout. That's because people voted, but we probably only 20% of the people voted, not 67. And Boris was always going to get in with an 80-seat majority. It was all filmed before with the little ditty, even the Christmas tree, how that moves around, like the whole thing. It's like, people, you need to wake up and realize what you're watching.
Yeah, and if everybody, nobody voted for, like, say, a presidential election, nobody voted.
But they fix it, wouldn't they, though, Josh?
And that's what I was getting. That was what I was getting to.
I've got to that because I'd love on the ballot paper. If you put on the ballot paper, I'm voting, but not for them. So you're voting, but you can say, no, I don't want any of these people, but I'm voting. You imagine how many people would put their tick in that box. Suddenly it would be like everybody would have their tick in there.
Yeah.
And but they wouldn't allow it, would they? They even if they said, we're giving you the right for that, they'd cover it up.
Yeah, they would say, well, there's something in the bylaw that says if nobody votes, then we get to select. And it would expose that they select them anyway. That's what they're actually doing. I mean,
that's what you would. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, but I don't think many people voted this time, and I don't think that many people are going to vote. You watch, it's going to be really, if you could see the book, there'd be a much smaller amount of people voting. But they've got to make it look like it was the momentous. You watch, Trump will get a great big majority. Whoever gets in, it'd be a great big, like the whole country vote. But they didn't. People have had enough. We've had enough. Like, in reality, we're still almost in the same place hundreds of years on. And when they brought the politics out, that's what my point of that video of Trump 32 years ago, he was saying the same things as he does today. Nothing's changed in 30, just the same rhetoric. He sounds the same, he's just a little bit younger with his voice, that's all. But you're thinking, wow, he's still going on about the same things 30 odd years later. Wow. It's all part of the game, isn't it?
Yep, just a character, just an actor. It's all of them.
So what? Tell us what videos again you're making.
I have one that I am making about the history of free energy hidden, and it's a documentary that's I'm putting together. And I put out a small little kind of like short kind of preface on it last night. and recently got done with a new free energy machine video that YouTube found a reason to strike me on my original one and banned it. And
Oh,
that kind of got me like, okay, well, if they're banning free energy stuff, obviously there's more to it. Why would you ban that?
can I
So
say something? I think there is a bit more information out there if you can find it and piece it together. Because I very quickly, because this is another subject, but it's relating to yours. I grew up in Brighton, right? My mum was born in Hove. My dad lived in this place called Woodingdean, which is a couple of miles on from Brighton. But let's just say I used to go to Brighton every Saturday. We used to go to the King Alfred Swimming Club. I never heard my parents talking about the Daddy Longlegs train in the sea, electric train in the sea in the mid 1880s. Never did I hear her talk about the third pier, which was a suspension bridge made in the early 1800s. It was half a suspension bridge, but the person made it. We had an Eden project there in the early 1850s. It was there and it collapsed, and because they didn't build it right, but at least they'd actually built it. Do you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say is there was all these windmills. Like there are windmills all over the UK, but there's about 50 or 100 of them all around Brighton, like nowhere else in the country. Like you have to dig and you have to find it and you have to listen to those people talking about their history. Don't go to the main one. Go and listen to people who've got history. Like around, you know what I mean, people talking like my family were immigrants to America, that kind of thing. You need to listen to those people because they've probably got much more of the history and what really happened than the story they're giving. I can't believe like the Brighton Dome was built in 17 something, and today I put a video out saying that this house they were saying was 1727. Yet Buckingham Palace is younger. It's 18 something. They built a Buckingham Palace, and they built another one, and then they put a wing on it about 20, 30 years later. All happened in the 1800s, but looks more or less the same as the building they're saying is 1727. And they did this about those chairs going up the lift, up the beach, which I think I mentioned to you before we came on the hangout. They're saying in that place there, they said they were made in 1870, but for Hastings, they were made in 1901, but they look the same thing. 30 years on, we would have moved on a bit. Just, I mean, they're just lying. They probably go there, put that one down as 1810, put that one down as 1750. They don't care because they're lying about all of it.
yeah, the technology prior to where we're at now is much more advanced than what we had. I always say we live in the Stone Age compared, and they hoard all that
Yeah, look
technology,
at
and
the
they
buildings they were building. Look at they're
yeah
beautiful.
they have all the knowledge of it stored away
You
wherever, probably
can't
in the
just go
Vatican.
out in a field and go, let's build this great big sort of like 25-acre field building with all about 500 rooms in it. And it's still there for as long as we can see it there, because we can go back to what, maybe the 1800s, early 1900s of photographs and that and see this, these things are amazing. They didn't sink, and they have a lot of these buildings, the older ones, have different foundations than what we have today, but they're still here. It's like,
Yeah, and they're slowly burning it down, ripping it down. Um,
yeah, got to destroy it. Like, for instance, the piers. They keep destroying the piers because I think people suddenly realise they were building this in 80, because they like to put everything at the turn of the century, don't they? Like Victoria, heading towards when Victoria dies, that was the real big change, but it wasn't. I don't know what they've done. And they've added people, making us look like we're a lot more people than there was. That's
oh,
something else they've done.
the population.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are not
Yeah, you
overpopulated.
understand. Yeah. Yeah,
They're
but not
very
just that. What I'm saying is they've said, oh, there was all these people around 200 years ago. They've over exaggerated how many people were here.
yeah yeah I, they oh my god, yeah, it goes on and on
I
what they
know,
lie about.
I know, sorry, Josh, sorry. I could go on and on. We've only just touched the surface of any of
Yeah,
it.
I mean this is yeah, I mean very surface compared to the multiple subjects.
The thing I don't like, though, Josh, is that one of the biggest crimes to humanity is this whole point, like making the cases up, pretending that things have happened, and then that people are then crying, depressed, don't trust anybody. It's such a crime for humanity that they do this.
Yeah, it's a crime on us on like a deeper level than just kind of like lying about actors being different people or stuff like that when they're like doing what you're talking about. Yeah,
Because we are quite peaceful, aren't we? I mean, you're going to get, I tried to put it in a video today, you're going to get deaths, you're going to get murders, you are going to get that across society, but not to the extent that they're telling us. They're making it look like we're a bunch of heathens, that we're murdering, and it's like we're at war 24 hours a day. The only people who are at war is them against humanity.
Yeah, the mass majority of people, like you say, want just peace to live normal, peaceful lives.
Like I said, you live where you live. Do you keep seeing great big crimes and thinking, oh God, the woman next door murdered her husband? Oh God, that family down there. It's not happening.
It's not happening. Look at your own little neighborhood and look around. You might have a couple.
How peaceful everybody is.
Depending where you live, you might live in a rougher area and you might see more of that kind of stuff. Most places, I mean, you look around, most people just want to be cool with each other at the end of the day. And like,
well, most people don't even talk to each other anymore because of what they've done.
That's true. That's true too. That is, it used to be like back in the day, like somebody knocked on your door, you ran to see like who's here. Now, if somebody comes to your door, you hide. You don't want them. So yeah, that's definitely.
Do you know what? The people who live in the country usually are a bit more friendly. You know, like you go down to Devon and Cornwall, which is nowhere near London, and they talk to you. And you know, someone around here says hello to you. You think, what do they want? Because you're you're nearer the ant hill.
You're right. Yeah.
But there are, you know, like the people who live in the country, they're different. They don't drive as fast. You know, they're just different. But they want us in the ant hill. They want you not thinking. They don't want you connecting with yourself. Because once you start connecting with yourself and you start thinking and you start feeling, then you start waking up.
Yeah, and they want us collected into the cities. I mean, so we're easier to control for all, like the mass majority. They have these big cities where all these people are in it, all these people are in it. And that also controls the perception of our population being smaller than what it is.
I just so wish I knew what I did, because, you know, I never thought there was anything wrong. You think half the time when you've got 4 kids, yeah, turn the telly on, stick them down in front of there, I've got to get dinner. But I just wish now I'd realised that it was all a programme, because we wouldn't have had the telly on.
Right.
But I still don't think, I'm not sure if they were mind controlling us. I mean, you know, this other thing I brought up lately is, how many years ago, I can't remember how many years, we went digital supposedly, but all that's done is made the footage worse. So it wasn't about making it better. It was about they're able to do things being digital that probably, and so this onslaught to us is 10 times worse now. They've gone digital, I think. Hello?
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, I was just listening to you.
Yeah, so that's what I think. I think going digital was something else, and the quality of the footage is 10 times worse than it was before.
Yeah.
You know, telling us we're all got these HD tellies and everything's perfect and wonderful. You get to YouTube, it's all blurry. Everything's blurry.
Yeah, the stuff they put out is.
Yeah, but there shouldn't be like that, should there? Especially if the White House are giving it to you. It should be HD.
Right.
They can't because it's only a factory making those videos. I didn't said the word then. Making those videos against the people, the drama. It's like you're old enough, probably Peyton Place. It's like you're just watching that.
Yeah, once you see it, it's ridiculous. It's like, what? And then you're kind of looking around, wondering, like, am I really the only one seeing that? Like, come on.
But again, we were talking about it, you know, like my kids, they struggle a bit with me because they want to be with the norm, and I don't. I've never minded being a bit different and individual, so it doesn't bother me, that part of it. But how they reacted to me sometimes, you know, my son said, well, I can't tell you anything because I said none of it's real. Well, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you can talk about everything. It's all open for discussion, but can't. You know, even like those rockets supposedly landing on that boat like that, and all they did was reverse the footage. Like, come on, everybody.
Right.
We're being hoodwinked.
like those Tesla rockets like coming back down and landing. Like that's when I get kind of frustrated with like, okay, like
What I'm saying is they may not have this super duper system. Like it's quite simple. They just shove it out and we believe it.
Yeah, just think about the aerodynamics of a rocket coming back down and landing. Like that's impossible. Like,
Do you know what it would be like?
It's a cartoon.
It would be like, I can't explain it. When that rocket touched that boat, the boat would have exploded.
Right, just the heat from the blaster. Oh, it's such a charade. It's such a cartoon. Like it's laughable.
That rocket would have touched that boat and gone bang. There would have been a big explosion.
Yeah, I haven't seen the actual video, but I can imagine it because I've watched enough of them. So I
the bit that gets me, Josh, is that very often nobody's noticed their whole, because I'm only, it was the Watts case that did it to me, and now I'm looking at other stuff. But these press releases, they're all holding their phones up, and not any of them record what's going on because they've been superimposed in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing to us on a daily basis. People need to look at the footage and see that the mobile phones are not watching what's going on.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that where like you zoom in on what's actually on the screen on the phone, it's nothing, or it's like they're on some other thing or whatever, but it's not
black screens. They're taking pictures and that, but they've got black screens.
Right, yeah. I've seen stuff like that.
Oh, yes. It's just awful. Anyway, so back to 2020. So what would you like to happen this year? Everybody wakes up.
I'm me on a personal level. I'm looking forward to going forward and more positive than I was last year. I wasn't in a negative place last year, but I was still kind of like really experiencing and learning and waking up to sharing truth. And
it's hard though, because you've got a responsibility, because you're trying to tell people the truth. You don't want to mistruth telling them the truth, but then you just got to try and put it out the best you can.
Yeah, you kind of like grow a thicker skin and get used to it and move on and realize, okay, that's just
because you think, holy moly, I'm sticking this out. Oh, here we go. Press the button.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
That's a kind of an exhilarating moment when you hit publish, because it's like, okay, it's out there now, for better or for worse. I'm always thinking for better though, and I always make sure before I hit enter, I am in a positive state of mind. So I'm putting that out with a
Do you know
positive
what YouTube
intent.
keep doing to me, Josh? Like, for instance, I was finishing a video yesterday and I said the White House. I said it twice, but the first one it clipped it slightly. So I said it just went White House, and then I said the White House. They cut the White House off. They cut those words off. So quite often now I'm noticing that it's more towards the end of the video. They're just cutting off the last 10, 20 seconds of my video.
Do they play with your view count too? Like where like I'll look.
Oh my God, I've written to them repeatedly. I've actually sat there and made a couple of videos watching them taking my vote, my views off.
I mean, just the little preface I put, a 4-minute, like it's just basically a trailer for the documentary. There's not even like a ton of, it's not like, it's just a trailer. I woke up today and it had a certain amount of views or whatever. Excuse me. And I look back a couple hours later and like 20 of them were gone. Like what the, but it's nothing new. That's what they do.
Yeah, but that's awful, isn't it? Because it's not fair to do that. They don't care. They're taking your views off. They're doing all sorts of things. And what I watched this video, and what this person said was these more computer people noticed that there was an algorithm set in people's channels. So YouTube lists you. So people like you and me, we're at the bottom. So they let us put our stuff out, but because we're in the bottom bit, unless you find the video or find the person, you're not going to just going to see it miraculously on YouTube. You're only going to be recommended to your subs. No one else out there is going to see it. So they keep you right at the bottom. So they're allowing you to put it out. But if 95% of YouTube ain't going to see it, they're only going to see that person trip over or say Trump's lovely, then millions
Yeah,
of people watch that. They set the algorithms in there. I think it's just it's horrible, really.
yeah, that's definitely what they do. I mean, I purposely really don't try to grow my channel for exactly what you just said, so that I know that they'll let me put the stuff I'm putting out because my channel is so small, and I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that deal because then at least it's out there somewhere, even if only 5% people see it. I wouldn't even say that. I'd say 0.1% of the people would ever see my stuff. If even that might even number even be
Yeah,
too
because
high.
they noticed what it was is this girl, they noticed it through her channel. What it was is she only had a couple of, like, say, 4 or 5 videos, but each one had got like millions of views. And they looked at it and
Yeah,
her content wasn't even that good. But
I've
because
seen the
YouTube had said they've given her the best algorithm, the best, like the best point to be, she got millions of views. But then people like us, we're not going to get the views because of the algorithm they've put us on.
yeah, and I've
Unfortunately,
also
there's not anywhere like YouTube, though, is there, with the
yeah,
audience that you could
yeah.
get?
It's kind of part of the deal. It's like, okay, it's I don't own this website or whatever it is. I don't own it. It's theirs. They own it. They can do what they want, kind of thing. And um, yeah, but I have noticed that,
Google,
like,
Google,
if I
Google.
put if I put out kind of like say content about vampires or whatever, they'll let that algorithm go. That'll get tons of views. If I do stuff on free energy, a little smaller. So, and that's so that if people come across me, it's controlling perception, and I'm fine with that. It's cool, whatever. But it it is definitely a thing that goes on. They definitely control um, who sees what you put out, and they basically kind of just want
That's the bit when
channel
I was saying that we need to help share each other's stuff around as much
right.
as possible because, you know,
Otherwise, we just stay in an echo chamber. We're just saying the same thing over and over to the same people. And so, yeah, it's like getting outside of that
do
echo
you know what's
chamber
really
a little
weird
bit.
about that, though? If you look at, say, the truth movement side of it, we all stay on one side. We don't go over to other sides, and I don't. Not many people I know go over to these other channels or try and we stick to where we want to, like with our own. So
Yeah, that's
why is it such a threat? It's not like we're going to the White House and sticking it all over there on a press release. Oh, look, and stick.
yeah,
We don't want anything to do with these. We try and stay away from it all. I'm only reporting on it myself. That's why it's on my channel.
yeah. There's been some channels on or pages or whatever on Facebook that I've tried to like kind of like what's the word gently share, not like shove down anybody's throat, but just like, hey, I'm throwing this out there. I think the people in this group might be open to it. It's not necessarily a truth group, but a few people might dig it. I've definitely gotten attacked. I've gotten banned from pages and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like it's a
Yeah, but
threat.
you know what? If you say I made a video and I was saying how wonderful Trump was, that would probably, not on my channel, but I started a new one and I said how wonderful Trump was. I'd probably get hundreds of views because of the algorithm they put it in. But it's just incredible. I don't see why we can't have freedom of speech. There isn't any, really.
Right.
I know we're putting our videos out, but then they're monitoring us and putting this low algorithm on us. There isn't really this freedom of speech. There's no democracy. We wouldn't be threats. And also, what made me realize was that YouTube is one of these great places now to show you that big business is running everything because they've got such big advertisers now and all the adverts, and they don't want our videos that are saying there's something wrong. So,
Right. That's
do you know
that's
what I'm?
why I
And
that's
so,
why I haven't.
really, YouTube's a big place to show you that big business run everything.
Yeah,
Google.
that's why I don't. That's why I have not and never will monetize my channel. I don't want to. I don't want anybody. I don't want any commercials. I don't want anybody. I don't want any kind of money generated through
Hey, you're
what I.
still penalized, Josh, and you don't even make any money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I have a lot of people attack me in my comments, accusing me of being monetized. I'm like, I'm not. Like, have you ever watched anything? And has there ever been one ad pop up when you watch my stuff? No. So I would
I
never
have
do.
to say,
There's no point.
Sun and Moon isn't because that was a channel for the people and the people having a voice. But Unscrambled, I thought No, I am on there because if everybody else is making money out of it, why not me?
I'm afraid to do it because I'm just afraid that if I monetize it, they would find reasons to strike me and strike me out. So I just
Yeah,
stay away.
you just got to be careful. But it's just you have to do your best, don't you? Really, you're left with doing your best. And we try, don't we? Do you know something, Josh? We've been going for an hour and a quarter. Can you imagine it? It feels like I've just put the button on to record. It's gone so quickly. Um,
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Let's wrap it up. We can because we can
yeah.
do.
Do you wanna talk for another 5, 10 minutes about whatever you want to talk about? Is anything new, anything different, anything else you've seen? Did you have a nice Xmas, Crisbo? What did you do for New Year? What do you want to finish off on a
I
nice little bit?
had a great time with my kids and a couple of friends. I don't have a big, huge circle network of people, but a small family, and we got together a couple times over the last couple weeks, and that's been nice. And I'll take that any day. Um, uh, what about you?
It's not quantity, it's quality nowadays, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like the older you get, you start to realize like
I can't be bothered.
oh, it's about like spending an hour on the couch with the dogs every day. Like it's like little things like that that start to really matter.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I spent Christmas Day with my youngest son, which was really nice, and I saw my other son and my other granddaughter. So yeah, I had quite a nice time. But after that, I've had to, just been making videos and working. I even worked New Year's
yeah,
Eve. You know, I'm
about the same for
self-employed,
me.
so yeah, I have to, yeah.
Making
Yeah.
videos, taking care of my house, taking care of my animals, and just keeping my life going and working and
We're
just
doing a
keeping it.
few hangouts, obviously, for Sun and Moon. Um, Trying to, get us people together and stuff. But yeah, I must admit, I just really hope this year, though, with the 2020, I never really thought about it till the other day. I mean, I know everybody's been going on about the 2020 and vision and stuff like that, but now it's here, I'm thinking, yeah, and the start of a new century. Oh, please.
I'm optimistic. A lot of people not think that because of the content I put out, but I'm not a pessimist. I'm very optimistic. I'm always like trying to think that it can be better and it can be more positive, and we can overstand. We don't have to understand what's going on. We need to overstand it. And so I'm always trying to keep my head in that kind of thought process. It's like, I like
Well, when you
when
go to work, do you look at everybody and it's a bit like I always imagine it's a bit like you've got on you're in the water, you've got like one of those air things, you're going, you're breathing through your apparatus and you're with goggles on and you walk in a room, you've got to be behind all this because everybody's out there is the living dead, and or do you get on quite well with your workmates and
I mean, there's some days I love who I work with actually, but I mean, there's some days where just going out in general, it's like, okay, but for the most of the time, I just embrace it. I embrace kind of whatever situation I'm in and like whatever conversation's going on. I go ahead and just um I'm okay with being in any kind of situation I'm in and just embracing the moment. And um I think it's okay to connect on different levels with people. And if they're on a level they want to talk about that, I'm cool with that. And sometimes it gives you an opportunity if you are talking with somebody and they feel comfortable and they're kind of telling you, even if it's some about politics or whatever, you might find this little window where they'll say something and you're able to kind of like point out like a little bit of like hoaxing that might be going on or some sort of, and they might be like, oh, I never looked at it like that. So that's why I go ahead and just embrace conversation, and it might open up a little window where you might be able to like plant a seed, because that's what it's about. It's planting seeds. Nobody's
it
going to
is a
wake
bit
up
weird though, isn't it, really?
overnight.
Like you're a complete stranger and I have to turn around and say it's all lies, everything, nothing's real. And they're going to go, what?
Yeah, you can't go
What?
there right off the bat.
What are you on about? I do a little bit of flat smacking, but I do it on the telephone, like when someone wants to sell me something, or I'm having to then change, say, a direct debit or something like that. I ring up and I speak to this person, and then Usually it's when I'm annoyed, something's happened and I'm a bit annoyed about my treatment, and then I suddenly start going into verse because you're never going to see them again. I think that's the easy. I don't know if I could do it on the street myself like those people do, like go out and give people leaflets and see them face to face, but I do it.
That's actually really funny. That would be funny, like if like you got a call from one of those those scammers that are always calling. I've engaged with them just to end up like kind of at the end of it, like, let's say something to them, like, I know what you're doing and you're hurting people and you should not feel good about what you're doing. And I just hang up, something like that. But it would be funny to say, I will give you my credit card. I will do this if you admit the earth is flat.
It's not even that.
That's funny.
I'm just trying to tell them the truth. I don't even have to label it as anything anymore. Water speaks its level.
Right.
There are things you can talk about. They're all the same. You just don't necessarily put all the same words, because once people hear that, they think, uh-oh. Because that's what people have told them. Oh, there's the crazy lot. And it's the other way round.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're sitting in your she shed, aren't you?
I am. Here, I'll show you real quick before we go.
I love Josh's room. It's full of fairy lights.
There I am.
Hey, there he is with his fairy lights. Hang on, I'll put the screen on you for a minute. Hang on.
Yeah,
so people can see.
This is my little hangout. This is actually inside my garage. It's a tent, one of those like outdoor, tents, whatever.
Marquee tent, yeah.
That is I put inside of my garage, and the reason is because my garage is big and it's not insulated. So in the winter, this is where I do my thing. Well, in the summer too, and I can heat it. That's why I put this out there. And it was actually kind of a brilliant idea that I'd never thought of, that a friend of mine suggested. Like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So, I have it all lit up, and
your little cabin in the garage.
Yeah.
Is that where you write your music?
Yeah, I pretty much I've lived here 20 years, and I've done most of my creating out in my garage. And originally it was because my kids were small and young and they were in the house, and this is where I could kind of do my thing and not bother anybody and get in my own kind of zone and write. And now it's video production. I do it all right out here. I got like here, I'll turn this around real quick.
Hey, look at all those fairy lights. Yay. Oh, is that your board? Is that your project?
That's yep. Yeah, it's
cool. Oh,
it's not high tech at all. I got a little laptop.
Fairy lights are good, Josh. Fairy lights are good. It's been really a great chatting with you. I can't believe how quickly it's gone. We've actually now been nearly an hour and 25 minutes, nearly an hour and a half. It's gone so quickly.
It did.
It's always fun with you, Josh. Josh is a really lovely person and a good friend of mine.
Oh, I love you.
And you rang me up the other day, didn't you? You started singing to me because you liked one of my videos.
Yeah. Yeah. And
4 o'clock in the morning, I've got Josh singing to me.
You never know when you're going to hear from me. You never know.
Oh, it was lovely. And singing all these songs to me.
That's what I do.
Well, anyway, but Josh, it's been a real pleasure as always, and we will obviously catch up again in the near future. But anyway, happy 2020 to you. Thank you everybody who's watched Hangout.
2020.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh no, that's okay. We'll say goodbye when I've pressed the button. But
yeah,
do you want to say the last word, Josh?
I want to say thank you to everybody over this last year, especially who has watched my videos and given me a lot of cool positive feedback, and even thank you to the people who questioned me. I think that's just as important. We gotta keep questioning. It's okay, but I want to thank everybody, because it is hard. It's a lot of fun for me to make them and do, but the stuff that goes behind the scenes, sometimes it's hard. So the positive stuff that comes in, I love you guys so much, and I just want to thank everybody for just, I don't know, digging my stuff and like enjoying it. And yeah, it's fun. And I'm looking forward to doing more and keeping going. And I love you and love what you do, Karen. And yeah, I'm very grateful, and I appreciate everybody so much in our bubble that we have.
Oh,
And
well, we love you, Josh. And thank you for being our friend, and thank you for chat today. And it's a bit ongoing, isn't it? Because we're not at the end.